Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Hope it is visible.
Yes.
Okay. So now we are good with the Tosca installation part. So before we go into the tool, right, we'll look at the different components that are installed along with the Tosca commander here. So here you can see now, this is a Tosca architecture on a high level actually. Here we'll be having a repository, and the Tosca commander is the one that we installed. And we'll be having a Tosca executor as well as the Tosca wizard. And we'll be interacting with the help of a Tosca commander to the system under test. So this is a high level architecture actually. Now here, when you look at the complete picture here, the commander is the one which is getting interacted with the repository, wizard, executor. Not only with these three. So if you are verifying for the API, right? So we'll be having API standalone module. To that also it will be interacting, the Tosca commander will be interacting. And if we are using a TDS service or a DEX service, both the services will be getting interacted with the Tosca commander. So Tosca commander is the main component which will be interacting with the different other components that got installed along with the Tosca or a Tosca server. Now, here, what is meant by repository here? So by the name itself, we can understand, right? So it's kind of a database. What we'll be doing now for a Tosca specific, whatever the artifacts that you are going to develop as part of the automation, right? Those artifacts where we'll be storing. So we'll be storing in a repository. So here, instead of storing in a local repository in a actual project, right? We'll be storing in a 1 DB that will be naming as a Tosca repository. Now, why we need to store in a DB? Because multiple people will be working in our project, right? We are not only the one tester will be working. Majority of the time, some 5 to 6 testers will be working on the same application. Now, whatever the artifacts that one person is being developed, it should be shared with the other testers also. So that is reason to enable a multi-access, we are using a repository here. So we can remember like Tosca is a database where we'll be setting up a Tosca repository. Now, so whatever the artifacts that will be designing, that will be happening in the commander. All the designing and execution, everything will be happening from the commander only, but it will be getting saved from the saved to the repository. Now coming to the wizard part. So here wizard is the another component that will be getting installed along with the Tosca commander, which will be helping us to scan the application. So whatever the application or whatever application page that you are trying to automate, definitely we need to identify all the controls that we are trying to interact. So if you are automating any login page, definitely you need to identify a control of a text area where we are inputting user ID and password. So how we'll be able to identify, how we will be able to scan the particular pages, that is with the help of a Tosca wizard. So that is the main functionality of a wizard. Now coming to the executor here, right? So even though we are designing here in the Tosca commander, coming to the execution part, so Tosca executor will be coming to the picture. Now whenever your designing is completed, and when you're running any particular test case which you have already automated, that will be happening from the executor here. Now if you look at the executor, right, we'll be having a different engines for a specific application. Now if you are trying to automate a web application, in a background, what will happen? It will be invoking the HTML engine. So why we are having a different engines for a different application? So in order to identify a control which we are trying to interact, that depends upon those related properties are depending upon the on which technology the application is built. So that is the reason for a web application, it should be able to identify the controls which we are trying to interact as part of the application automation using HTML engine. So if you are automating a SAP engine, in a background, the SAP engine will be invoked. So in a similar way, Java application. So we'll be having a different types of engine for a specific applications here. That I'll be showing you where you can check what are the different types of engines that are available within a Tosca executor. Now, this is our system under test. So this is a overall summary of different components that got installed along with the Tosca commander. So any questions on this particular high level picture? So hope it is clear now. Now,
Yeah, it is good.
yeah.
కనిపిస్తుందా? ఏది వీడియో నాకు కొంచెం తేడా ఉందా ఏంటి? చూసు అంటే పొరపాటున వచ్చింది లేదు. ఓకే ఓకే.
Mahidip sir, you please mute it.
Yes, Nagarjun, one doubt, like actually, so while installing the Tosca itself, the wizard will be by default coming with that package, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
we
correct.
need not.
So whenever the background component is getting invoked, right? When you are designing, I'll be explaining when and where the particular components will be invoked from the commander.
Okay.
So that you will be having a clear picture.
Nagarjun, the repository, it will be in the cloud or it can be local also?
For our demo purpose, we will be creating in a local actually. Otherwise, it's depending upon the organization policy. They can have a repository on premises, or if they are using any cloud database, right? They can set up in a cloud also.
Okay.
That depends.
So Tosca is capable of both.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's look at first what are the work that we need to start. We understood. We need to save the work. So in order to save the work, first we need to set up a repository. So this will be the first step that we need to do. Now let's see how to set up a repository, or if you are having any existing repository that we already have, how to connect from the Tosca. These are the two main steps that we need to configure before starting any design work. Now let's open a Tosca here.
Hey, Nagarjun, Nagi here, 1 minute. I just joined a bit late. By seeing this diagram, you have given here, there are 4 engines here and system under test which is connected. That means all these engines are from Tosca, what you're saying?
So yeah, Tosca Tricentis will be providing a different engines actually. Not only 4, we'll be having a many engines actually.
Okay. Here I am able to understand to test that SAP kind of applications. So this SAP is useful and HTML is for web applications. And how about this Java and TCP/IP? What about them? Java means even with Java also the browser will be HTML only written, no? Then
that is true. But when we'll be using for a Java, right? Let us say we are having some legacy applications which built on old framework like a Swinger. So at that time, few of the controls might not be identified with the help of HTML only. In a background, we need to enable few of the specific features so that we can identify a old framework which we used in a Java.
Okay, for that, even some kind of Java driver. Okay, got it. Okay, please.
Yes, right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Now, let me open a Tosca commander here. Now we'll be having 2 terms here before for initial configuration. One is a repository, the other one is a workspace. So let us assume this is a repository. Now, so another one will be having a workspace here. Now, Tosca repository is the common. So let us say we are having a some 3 automation testers in our project. Okay, 3 automation testers need to set up a workspace in their local machine. even though they are connecting to a same common repository here. So whenever they want to connect to a repository and whenever they want to start a working, so they need to definitely connect to repository as well as they need to set up a local workspace. This will be having a will be calling as a local workspace here. Now, why there is a need to create these two actually? Because as we discussed, all the artifacts that are getting saved to the repository. Now, let us say all these users from this workspace, they connected to the repository here. So I'm talking about a multi-user workspace here. Multiple people working in a project scenario. Now, before they start working on any of the test cases, let us say the repository is holding some 100 test cases. EC1, so let us say we are having it some 100 test cases here. Now there is due to some requirement changes, they need to do modifications in the existing test cases. In this scenario, let us assume now. So they need to pull those particular test cases, or they need to check out those particular test cases here. So let us say we are having a multiple people that are working in a same project now. All the people are connected to the repository. Now, before they start working on any test case, right? So they need to, all the designing will be happening in a local workspace. So let us say there are some changes that are happening in the EC10. So, and the user one is trying to modify those changes now. Okay. Now, at that time, what we'll be doing now? He will be doing a checkout to a particular test case here. He will be doing a checkout. So whenever the user is doing, why we need to do a check-in and check-out concepts here, right? You might be aware actually, but I'm just repeating here. So whenever we are working on some object, right? So first we need to acquire a log on a particular object. So test case is one of the object. Everything is an object within a Tosca. Test case also is one of the object. Now, whenever you are trying to modify any object, any kind of object within a Tosca, we need to get a log so that other people who are trying to modify the same object will not allow. So if user one is checking out a particular test case and user two is also trying to get a lock access, the Tosca will not allow. It will be throwing an error saying that but currently this particular object is being logged by so and so user. So that is the reason in order to restrict being updated from the multiple user, the same kind of objects. So we'll be having a checkout concept. Once the user is checking out, the log will be placed for this particular user, and no other user is able to edit any of the particular objects which are already checked out. Now here, the currently he is making a progress. Whatever the design changes that particular tester is doing on a TC10, that will be in a local machine. It will not be submitted to the repository. Now, once the user is doing a check-in, saying after completing all the updates, then only particular updates will be saved to the repository. Now, during the middle of the time, the other users can view the object, but whatever the changes that is currently happening, that will be there in a local workspace. So local workspace is the one which are specific to the user, and whatever the updates that are making, first that will be saved in a local workspace only. Post check-in only, it will be updated to the repository. So this is how the check-in and check-out mechanism will be working in a multi-user workspace. So any questions here? First, we'll be setting up a repository and then we'll be setting up a local workspace for each and every user.
Yeah, Nagarjun, is there any checkpoint between checking after doing some modifications? If user, can he directly check into the repository, or any reviews will be there in between?
It will be a peer reviews that will be happening actually. So once the user is checking in, right? So in a Tosca, we'll be following some standard process. So we'll be having 3 folders that will be created. like in progress, completed, reviewed. So whatever the work that is happening, that will be happening inside in progress. Now, once it is
Okay.
completed, we'll be moving to the completed folder. Now, we'll be doing a peer reviews from the completed folder only. So because everything it is getting checked out in a repository, let us say user one is completed a test case study. Now, once he completed, he'll be moving to the completed folder. Now, from the completed folder, the user two will be picking up for a review. And once he reviewed, we'll be moving back to the reviewed folder. Now, reviewed is the final version of all our test cases where we'll be placing. So in such a way, the review mechanism we can handle in a Tosca.
Okay.
Yeah.
That you are going to explain, no? Like,
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so one more point to the addition of what Nagi told. So when we try to check in, right, to the repository, will be there any mail notification to the reviewer who is going to do the review, or how is it going to happen between the peers, the communication? Only
No, there
through
will
chat?
not be any notification actually. So internally we'll be agreeing, we'll be defining a specific folder for the test cases to be reviewed. From the folders only who are going to review, right? They will be checking daily.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no such mail notifications that will be happening.
Okay.
Okay. Now, okay. Here the Tosca is opened here. Now here first we need to set up a repository here. So sorry, first we need to set up a local workspace. So in order to set up a local workspace here, we'll be having a create new option here. For each and every project, we can set up a multiple workspaces here. Now there are two options here, open and create new. If the workspace is already set up and we are coming back again, so then you can open it. Like here I can see Tosca demo is one of the project. If you consider, local workspace is already set up in my local machine for a Tosca demo project. That is reason it is showing under a recent project here. So those things, if it is not displaying in a recent project, we can directly open by using a open here. Now there you can select a corresponding workspace here. Let us say here we are having a Tosca demo shop 18, batch 18, let us say. So if you open a batch 18 here, this is a workspace that got set up actually. So once you double click it, that will be getting opened here. So if you want to open a existing workspace that is already set up in our machine, we'll be using this option. Now, as we are proceeding with the first time, right, we need to go for a create option here. So this way, the initial picture will be there, initial layout. So let me close this. It seems some updates are happened actually. That is reason my system is slow. There are some Windows updates. So meanwhile, right? So earlier I prepared one document actually. So here where you can find the list of topics. Let me open the document. Okay. What I'll do, so this will be having from basic to the advanced also. So whenever we are appearing for the interviews, right? So to get a summary of what it is mean, so you can refer back this document so that it will be helping us whenever you are appearing for any interviews here. So here, what are the topics that we are discussing, right? Every topic is listed along with the brief description. What is this feature is for? I'll be sharing this document with you. So the basis you asked for the list of topics, right, that we can cover.
Yes.
So in this document, you can find the various topics actually. Will this help, or do you need a high level topics as well?
Oh, these things will work actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because whenever you are refreshing also, this will help. It will be having a high level summary on every feature or topic that we are discussing. So I'll be uploading this as well to the shared drive where you can access from there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, as we are setting up a newly, we need to go for a create new option here to set up a workspace here. Here you can see we are creating a workspace now. Now workspace nothing but we are setting up in a local machine. Now to which repository that we need to connect now. So before setting up a workspace, definitely we need to have a repository here. Now for our demo purpose, as we don't have any database as such, which can be used, which can be connected by all the users, right? So that is the reason we'll be going for a single user workspace. But in case, if you want to connect to an existing repository, what is the process? Once you click on this drop down here, we are having a different databases here. So these are the 4 databases which you can connect, which we can use as a Tosca repository. You can set up a repository on a DB2 or MS SQL server or Oracle or SQLite. So depending upon the organization, they will be setting up a Tosca repository on a different databases here. Now let us say if you are setting up a newly, because creating a repository will be happening only one time in a project. Whoever is taking care of the admin things, they will be setting up a repository here by the corresponding database here. Let us say if you are going for an Oracle here. So here there is a tick mark here. Use existing repository. That means if the other users are trying to connect to the same repository, this is the option that we need to click, and there will be a connection string. So I hope you might be knowing the connection string. Connection string is holding all the connection details which will help to connect to a particular database. This generally will be getting from the DB admins. Though in this one only we'll be having a server details to which DB server that we need to connect, as well as what are the parameters that we need to pass. So let us say if you are connecting to an existing repository, the Tosca repository is already set up. Now we need to get the connection details. And what are the details that we need to input here? Here there is a question mark here. Once you click on this question mark here, so it will be giving the parameters that need to be passed in order to connect to a database here. Data source, user ID, and password. So these are the parameter name to which we need to pass in different values as per our database. Now let us say if you are connecting to SQL, so the kind of information that we'll be passing is similar only, but the parameter name will be getting changed here. Let me show you that also. Let us say you are connecting to a repository where it has been set up in a MS SQL server. So at that time, okay. So when you again click on help button here, we need to provide a server database UID and a password. Okay. Now the parameter names are differing, but here whatever the details that you are passing is a common. we need to pass the server details as well as the user detail in a connection string. So these, when you are using a existing repository, whenever you are setting up a new workspace, first we need to define to which repository that you wanted to connect. Now, majority of the time it will be existing repository only. We'll be getting a connection string details, so that those connection string details you can pass here. Now, if you are creating a new one, but because you let us say you are setting up a repository for the first time, so at that time you need to uncheck this box. Now, once you uncheck, the details should be common only, and once you do a test connection, the particular repository will be set up in a particular server location. Now, other user, what they can do, other automation tester, they can use this particular checkbox, and what are the connection string details that you are providing, right? They can reuse the same thing in order to connect to a same Tosca repository. So this is how multi-user workspace setup can be done. So any questions here?
What is this repository? Is it a kind of Git repository? You are saying that this is a repository and it's a
Database
DB.
repository. It's a database repository where in a database our artifacts will be getting saved.
Okay, and our code will also, when you do the check-in, it will go there in this repository, or what?
That is true. Yeah, when you check in, that will get saved in this repository only.
Okay.
So any other questions here?
Yeah, so this is the repository for the database connection strings, right? So for example, we have an application, web browser application, where we will try to provide some fields and save some data. And that also will be saved here in the respective DB, or is this a complete repository set of, or the database tables, those also will be covered in this repository itself?
So everything will be saved to this particular repository.
Okay.
Yeah. So whatever the data that you are passing in inside a test cases, right?
Hmm.
Or you are creating any modules with the technical properties of all the controls that you are trying to interact, everything will be saved in this one. But if you are accessing a data at a certain central repository, that is, we are having a different topic actually, test data repository. That is a different server. We'll be coming to that point actually. But for now, consider in this database only everything is getting saved, all the objects.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that means
the properties information or the data that you are passing to your test case or a complete test case or requirements that you are linking, everything will be saved in this particular repository.
okay. So in that
that
case,
means irrespective. Yeah.
yeah. So in that case, actually, we do have some requirements for, say, suppose some desktop applications where we need to validate the scenarios for in different versions of servers, right? Say, suppose we have 2019 server, 2022 server of databases for MS SQL server. So in that case, how could we do that? How this is
No. See,
visible?
for the application, it will be having a different database. Okay.
Okay.
So what are you referring? We need to validate we need to execute same test case in a different versions with a different set of data. That is correct, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, to get a data or to save a data that is related to the application, we'll be connecting to a different database. So this database is all about saving what are the artifacts that you are creating in a Tosca command. Let us say you are automating one test case. That complete test case object will be saved into this repository. But whatever the application data it is there, they will be maintaining it in a different database. That database we need to connect again from a test case design standpoint.
So this is entirely for the Tosca artifacts repository.
Correct.
For the
application database we need to connect again as part of the test case design.
Okay. Got it.
That means this step is common to everything. Means
common for everyone.
Whatever you are, common for.
Now, so as we don't have any DB server now, so I'm going to create a single user workspace. So this workspace will be accessed by only one user who is working on a particular system. But in a project, we'll be going for multi-user workspace where we'll be giving connection string details and all. That is the only difference. And in a multi-user workspace only, we'll be getting these concepts called check-in and check-out. In a single user workspace, as only one user is going to work always, so we'll not be having these concepts, check-in and check-out. But I will be showing you that option where those are present in a Tosca commander. Okay. Now, let me go to the single user workspace here. Now, here also there is a DB file that will be created in our local workspace. And what are the artifacts that you are going to create that will be stored in that particular DB file. Let me show you that one also now. Now here, there is a workspace in which location that you want to create here in our local machine. So this is the path that I have given. And what is the workspace name? So let me give a Tosca. Any name we can give here, batch 22. Now, so there is a workspace template. The checkbox is there. Click on this particular one. Now here, you will be getting a standard.tsu. .tsu will be referring as a Tosca subset. I'll be explaining about this in a bit later actually. Once you open a project workspace, right, I'll be explaining this particular standard.tsu. But it is having a standard template which you get along with the Tosca commander installation only, you will be getting this particular standard.tsu. So it will be getting automatically populated here once you click on this particular checkbox for you also. If you are not getting, let me know. I can share this particular standard.subset file. So it will be holding a standard template for our workspace. Okay. And this naming convention can be anything as per our project. Now, in this path, we are going to create a workspace. If you want to change, you can change it. And this is a workspace name. And this is a standard template actually. Now,
can you please elaborate on that?
Yes. Once you go to the Tosca commander, right, I can explain you about this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For now, let us assume it is having a workspace template.
Okay.
Because when I show you that one, right, you'll be able to clearly understand.
Okay.
Now, let me click on OK. The workspace will be created here. So here you can see the workspace is created. So if you observe the extension, right, the workspace extension is showing as a .tws. It is representing a Tosca workspace. So that is the abbreviation for this extension. Now here they are importing the workspace template. Nothing but they are importing some objects to our local workspace. This importing will happen whenever you include a standard.tsu or any other .tsu file. Now it is loading. So meanwhile, we'll look at the workspace is created or not. So it will be there in a C drive given. And Tosca projects, Tosca workspace. So this is the path that we have chosen. In this path only here you can see Tosca batch 22 folder got created. This is our project folder. Now if you open it, here you can see .taws file is created. This is our workspace. So along with the workspace, here you can see as we created a single user workspace, there is a repository folder only. Once you go to the repository folder, here you can see some database file is getting created. In this database file only, our artifacts are getting saved. As we created a single user workspace, this DB file got created in our local machine. Our meeting is getting ended in a minute actually. Please do rejoin if it is getting disconnected.
That will also get recorded, right?
Yes, that also will be getting recorded.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So whatever the test cases are there, you can't